To the Jews, there was light, there was happiness, joy, and beauty. Sagt if the Gemara, so the Talmud, the Megillah, says the following: Oira zu Torah. Oira is a reference to Torah. Simcha ze Yom Tov. Simcha is a reference to Yom Tov. Sasin zu Mila. Joy is a reference to Mila. V'yikar, splendor, beauty, Elu Tefillin. That's a reference to Tefillin. The Fir Zachin. So these four items again, we have Torah, Yom Tov, Mila, circumcision, and Tefillin. These four things, seinen oises, zeichens, these are signs, welche weisen, that they demonstrate, auf dem Verbund von Eden mit den Ebersten, the bond the Jewish people have with Hashem. Und Haman Arasha hat Gezer gewähnt, als Eden soll nicht mekayim sein, not die vier Sachen. Haman, the wicked Haman, made a decree, attempted to stop the Jewish people from performing these four commandments. Weil nicht gewollt als und nicht gekannt leiden, was die Juden zeichnen sich aus von alle Völker. He couldn't stand it, the fact that the Jewish people stand out from all other nations. Durch their verbunden mit den Ebersten. How did the Jewish people stand out? Through their special bond they have with God. Wenn es ist geschehen der Nest von Purim, so when the miracle of Purim happened, und wenn es Potte geworden von Haman mit seinen Geseres, and we finally got rid of Haman, and we got rid of his decrees, so the outcome was, again, La Yehuda Meisa'eda Zutera, so we got everything back. We got the Torah back. Simcha Ze Yom Tov, we got our holidays back. Sasin Zumila, we got the circumcision back, and we got the V'yikar, the beauty, the splendor, which is Tefillin. Now the Rebbe is going to go and explain and analyze this idea of a sign. We just said here that there's four commandments that serve as a sign that we are distinguished from all the other nations and we have the special bond with God. Shas memacht an ois a zeichen in a zach if to abteilen ir von a zweiter zach. So when you make a sign to distinguish one thing from another, darf der eis sein nor in der zach und nicht in der zweiter. So you make a sign for one thing. You don't need to make the sign for both. You make the sign on one of the two objects. So if you have two books that look exactly the same, you take, for example, a piece of tape, you write someone's name on it, and you say, this is A. So you don't need to write on the other book that this is B, because automatically, if you're assigning the first book to A, automatically this second one is not going to be A. Ob der Eis soll sein in beiden, ist es dann nicht kein Zeichen von richtiger Eisteilung. You're not doing a real distinction here. Als man soll durch erkennen, a Yisod Chilik von der Sache mit der Zweiter, you're not really demonstrating a fundamental difference between the two. Again, if you're going to make a sign for both objects, then you're saying that they're both the same because each one has a sign on them. So when you want to make something really unique, you only put the sign on one of the objects, not on both of them. So in our case, we're speaking about a sign to distinguish the Jewish people from the other nations. And this is a real essential and fundamental difference between the Jewish people and other nations. Darf doch das sein durch seine Sachen, welche sein mehr nicht wie bei Jeden. So we got to find objects that are unique for the Jewish people. As die alle vier Sachen, Teure, Yom Tov, Mila und Tefillin sein voran echt bei anderen Völkern. But here's the question. These four mitzvahs that are mentioned here, we find that the non-Jews have them as well. In an andere Eifen. even though that they have it in another form, but they still have them. And here the Rebbe is going to go and explain how the non-Jews have these 4 commandments. Let's start with Torah. Torah, ich geim anerkennen und lernen in Aifen, as they wissen dem greisen Sechel, was is da in Torah. There's many non-Jews throughout history that they very well know and comprehend the uniqueness and the philosophical part of Torah. Hier steht, as it says clearly in the Torah, Ki chochmaschem uveinaschem, the Torah is a piece of knowledge le'enei ha'amim, to the eyes of the nations. As eich le'enei ha'amim is Torah a greise chachma, even to the eyes of the nations, Torah is a tremendous piece of knowledge. Let's go to the next thing, Yom Tov, holidays. We find a lot of holidays by the non-Jewish cultures. And there's also many holidays that are connected with Cheres, a time when they became free, weiter, etc. Mila, circumcision too, as we all know, asach goyim welche seien sich mal zu lieben gesund. There's a lot of non-Jews that get circumcised for health reasons. And tefillin, even tefillin, we find that non-Jews have some form of tefillin. Punkt wie jeden legen tefillin, if zu weisen, as they gehören zum Ebersten, that the reason why we put on tefillin, it's a sign that we belong to Hashem. Wie die Gemara bringt, as the Gemara explains, when a Jew wears tefillin, all of the nations of the world look upon the Jew and they see clearly that the name of God is upon them, which parenthetically, this is why the Lubavitcher Rebbe instituted the tefillin campaign during the 6-day war, because the Rebbe was saying, by them putting on tefillin, it will put fear in the eyes of the enemy. So we find this concept of tefillin, which is again is a sign that the Jewish people are connected to Hashem. We find other nations as well. They carry upon themselves a certain sign. There's a certain sign they carry that shows their denomination, which nation or which tribe they belong to. So tefillin is like the Jewish flag, so to speak. So here's the question: Zach nicht verstandig, it's not understood. Schaust der Eberstadt gewollt machen Eises, welche sollen abteilen in Eden von alle Völker. If Hashem wants to make a sign that shows the uniqueness of the Jewish people, hat doch gedarf Eis kleiben na seine Mitzvahs und in Jonim was Elden haben zu sehen kein Shum Sheiches nicht. He should have chose mitzvahs that the other nations have no part in it. So why did he choose these 4 mitzvahs, which we, as we have explained, the non-Jews have these mitzvahs in some form. Was etwas ähnlich zu sehen ist voran euch bei Israel. So the explanation is as follows. Die Erklärung davon ist, wenn davon haben Eis auf Öbteilen in Sachen der Zweiter, when is a sign necessary? When 2 things have a similarity to themselves, as we brought before the example of 2 books, they look exactly the same, so you need to have a sign to distinguish one from another. Dann darf man haben ein Zeichen, if zu von anderen Teilen sehen. Aber sie haben nicht kein schon Vergleich zwischen sich, but if there's no difference between them whatsoever, if there's no comparison to begin with between the 2 objects, darf man keine Eis nicht haben, so it is not necessary to have any sign, because to begin with, they have no similarity. Das heißt, as the Eis ist weggekommen abteilen bin Yisrael Amim. So, in our case, the signs that distinguish the Jewish people from other nations, seien nicht abzuteilen die jüdische Neshama von Neshamas von anderen Völkern. It's not for the purpose of distinguishing the soul, the Jewish soul, from the souls of the other nations. That's not the case. Because if you're looking at the soul, there's absolutely no comparison between a Jewish soul and a non-Jewish soul. As explained in the beginning chapter of Tanya. So why then do we need a sign to distinguish the Jewish people from the other nations? This is because of the bodies, that our bodies look exactly the same as the non-Jewish bodies. Externally, you look at a Jewish body and a non-Jewish body, they look exactly the same. Because a Jew has a physical body. So superficially, it is not noticeable the difference between a Jewish body and a non-Jewish body. So this is why it is necessary to have these signs as to show and to demonstrate that even the physical body of a Jew is in ganzen anders von alle andere Gufen, is totally different from the other bodies of the other nations. The Yiddish Guf is Kaddish, the Jewish body is a holy body. So since we have established that these signs come to demonstrate the holiness of the Jewish body, the Rebbe emphasizes the word body, that is why Hashem chose these specific 4 signs, specifically these 4 signs which we do find by the other nations. Und von deswegen seien sie bei Eden ganz anders, but nevertheless, the way these are by the Jewish people are totally different. Das beweist euch, als die gashmisdige Tugenden wir sein verbunden mit der jüdischen Guf. This demonstrates even the physical activities which is connected to a Jewish body, even though these same exact actions are done by other non-Jewish nations. A very practical example, a Jewish person has a nice cup of coffee, and so do non-Jewish people. We equally enjoy a cup of coffee. A Jew sleeps, and a non-Jew also enjoys a nice sleep. A Jew deals with business, and a non-Jew too deals with business, and many other examples. Or by Yidden, it is gar anders. However, the way they are by the Jewish people are really much, much different. By Yidden seien echt die gashmische Sachen heilig. The difference is, by a Jew, even his physical and mundane activities are infused with holiness. As it says in Mishli and Proverbs, in all of your ways you will have knowledge and recognition of Hashem. And the reason is, a Jew doesn't only possess holiness within himself, so his holiness is not something additional to his psyche, but to the core of a Jew is holy. Und der Rebbe fordert sich von Aiden as alle seine Yonim, and this is why it's demanded from a Jew that everything from A to Z, any activity that a Jew engages in, euch die Wache sein dieselbe wie bei Umas Elam,